All right, we're up on the hill with Rick Hill. How about that? What's going on, Rick?
Doesn't get any better.
Now, I worked with you at the Department of Fish and Wildlife 122 years ago when we were young men.
Something like that.
You know what? Rick is the artist, the resident artist at the Department of Fish and Wildlife. Oh, I should say award-winning. Has done everything from carving fish, which we're going to talk about later because you've done some beautiful carvings, but almost every cover for the last 38 years you've done on Kentucky Afield magazine.
Well, I've had on and off artwork since, I hate to say this, since 1976.
How many born then?
But I've done all the covers for many years.
Well,
Yes.
you do amazing work. And you couldn't, with that eye for detail, not be a naturalist. Since you were yay high, you've been interested in the outdoors.
That's been my passion, right?
That has been your passion. So when you, with an artist's eye, I bet it's tough to even walk out in the woods without seeing this, that, and everything is identified. For instance, we're standing here talking about this Chinkapin oak. First of all, to the untrained eye, how do you know that's a Chinkapin oak?
Well, you can tell by the bark that this is a Chinkapin, although the only other tree you really confuse this with in the woods is a white oak, because they both have this very light gray type bark. Sometimes these are a little tannish light color, but they have the little scaly look pretty much, and they get a little more fissured or larger scales as they get old, an old mature tree. But a Chinkapin has acorns that wildlife dearly love. They're a small acorn, but the thing they really like about them is that they're very sweet. Even the Native Americans used to prize these because they were so good to eat. They reminded them of chestnuts, thus sort of why one of the reasons I think they have the name Chinkapin oak is related to that. Limestone areas is where you find the most of those,
there's certainly limestone around here.
Yes, yes.
Okay, this is from a beginner's standpoint, you know, you don't have to have the leaf, but if you do, it's kind of an extra added bonus. I see one laying right there by your foot.
The Chinkapin, this is a small one, but they kind of have the appearance of a chestnut leaf.
So in Kentucky, we have, what are the different kind of oaks that we have?
The northern red and the Shumards and the Chinkapins and white oaks are the ones you've seen the most. But I probably left something out.
Let's go find one of those while we're hot on this topic of oak.
Sure.
All right, now, if you've seen us cooking up here, doing some cowboy cooking, you've seen this monster tree behind us. Now, Rick, tell us about this tree.
Well, it's a Shumard oak, which is one of the red oaks. They have large acorns on them, very important to wildlife. And you'll see a lot of these in central Kentucky for sure. And it's a very long-lived tree, as is the Chinkapin, is even known to live longer for sure. It's been verified. And we have, there's some in Kentucky that are thought to be, and some that are verified that are over 400 years old.
Wow.
Another neat thing to point out is that some people don't know that red oaks, the red oak family, the acorns, like on the Shumard, take 2 years to fully develop. The second year is when they fall from the tree and the wildlife have a feast. The points on the end is very common in the red oak family, and the deep cuts and the large acorns. I think these are past their prime.
You know what? You know what's not past its prime? Is fishing in the Gulf. So I called Captain Barry, I said, man, is anything going on? He said, right now, snapper and sheep's head. Now, I'm fascinated by sheep's head. Nikki's grandfather used to go to Florida and used to catch them off the piers because they like to eat those little barnacles off the rocks. They eat oysters, any kind of little crab they can get their mouth around. They've got very interesting teeth. Their teeth, if you look at them from the front, when you open their mouth, they got little bottom teeth and a little
like
square
a little
teeth.
Smiling face with teeth, yeah.
And they can actually pick those barnacles off and crush those, and the back of the mouth's kind of like a drum.
Right. Amazing adaptation.
Amazing. But they're also amazingly delicious. They're hard to clean because they have really tough scales.
Yeah.
We're going to get back to some more tree identification, but you said you were hungry.
Of course.
We got to feed Rick.
You said something about fish.
So we're going to come back and do some more tree identification, but first, let's go out with Captain Barry Collier, find out where his great seafood comes from, catch a few fish to boot. We've got some right here. Rick, would you like a bite when we cook it up?
Absolutely.
I knew you would.
Count me in.
I knew you would.